All right, folks, we're back, and it looks like things timed out really well for us. So Neeb versus Cham is set up. Good to go. Neeb and Cham, do you guys want to play NA? If the North American server is better for them, we can totally just go to North America, since this will be Cham's like what, Mexico, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mexico versus East Coast.
Yes, Neeb's based in New York, I think.
Thank you to Minch for the $5. Says, Zombie Grub Skype picture body pillow, how much? I feel like
an entire body.
I feel like what would be great is, okay, you get this here, turn your camera off for a second so people know what the picture is we're talking about. You get this kind of like bitch face stare going on, right? Whatever for that. But then you get like you know those buttons that you press, like the easy button from Staples? Like, that was easy. We could have one set up for you where you press the button with that picture, but then just nothing comes out.
See, what it should be is all of my reaction faces.
Zombie Grub has some pretty fantastic reaction faces. I'm not gonna lie, but okay. Channel BaseTradeTV on NA. Let's go.
Neeb's already here.
Nice. All right, so Cham versus Neeb in the Corsair Cup is really cool for me because, hey, there's a little bit of North America representation, but also two North Americans playing against each other, and two pretty good ones at that. Cham, I gotta be honest, like, I think in every way that I possibly think is the underdog in this. Like, for me, it's Neeb all the way. That being said, maybe Cham surprises us.
Yeah, it's possible. Cham really did not look so bad at Nation Wars, so...
Well, I'm not even thinking about the Nation Wars, but like even going further back to things like Copa America, he stood out above the rest by pretty... Like, him and Major and like a few others, they were really just miles ahead of the rest of the pack, you know?
That is certainly true. Jim Rising, Cham, and Major have all stood out farther ahead. But I was thinking just in terms of recently, like... Cham's been still improving. We haven't done, you know, Copa America in years.
His name's so cute. It's root Chammy. Chammykins.
Chammy.
Alright, well, I guess I'll go tweet about this. Oh. Dip. I've been tweeting from my account today. I should have been tweeting from the BaseTrade account. Let me swap over to that.
Oh, Dip.
Yo, I had the smoothest game in Twitter. Did you see that yesterday? I know you were in the tag tweets.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so confused.
So many people, I forgot to change my profile picture after I did that. So I had it there the whole day because I wasn't on Twitter. I was just playing like H1Z1 all day. So everyone kept messaging me like, Rifkin, you look so pretty now. What happened? I'm like, fuck off.
Oh, that's what everyone says about my baby pictures. Oh, you're so cute. What happened?
Your baby pictures. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a North American versus North American matchup. As I struggle through those words. Spawning here in the bottom right side of the map, he plays for Ting. He's using the most default picture of all time. It's Neeb.
It's basic. In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Root Cham. Chammy.
And because I was on the wrong Twitter all morning, by the way, Iverland, person who subbed to us, tweeted us a picture of their dog in, holy crap, like the most majestic way possible. I'll retweet this so you can see it easier. There's one hell of a majestic dog. But of course, the kitty cats as well. We'll retweet that because animals and stuff.
Animals and stuff, yeah. Actually, speaking about baby pictures, I was talking to people about, you know, what they did in China, like all the programmers and casters, and apparently they had some good times, right? It was fun stuff. And I was like, you know what I was doing that week? I was building Zoids, and I was scrapbooking, which I realized made me sound like the oldest person and the nerdiest person in the world together.
Were those two things connected?
No, it was, well, kind of. I was cleaning out my
oh, this
closet.
is such a good Zoid. I made such a sick Zoid right now. I better scrapbook this. I want to remember this.
No, it was just, both were in my closet taking up, like, really, like, you know, like a lot of space in a very disorganized way. Because I save all that stuff because I wanted to do a scrapbook. So I just had a bunch of shit, and then I also had these Zoids I never bothered building. So oh my, Zoids, I forgot how obnoxious it is to build Zoids. Because Because at first you're like, well, this is easy, this is fun, just put the two things together, and then it starts getting really difficult because they don't come together, or it's hard to pop the thing out, and you hurt your finger, and I'm just like, oh, this is why I stopped building Zoids. Oh my god. But I like them so much. I think they're so cool. But of course, I had a bunch of pictures when I was younger in the scrapbook, and oh man, I had some pictures I haven't seen in a very long time, and it's like an image I could not get out of my mind of when I was like 14 and like not good at all, and it just would not leave my mind for like a week.
Well, what's funny about this, right, is like, forget self-esteem for a moment. Just generally speaking, I'm not that attractive of a person, so I don't have a lot of pictures of me like floating around the house or like framed on the wall or anything. So most of the pictures of me would be of like when I'm a kid, like when I'm a baby, right? And there's this one that hangs in our living room that I fucking hate so much, because it's me as like, this is like a year-old baby, right? Naked, not like you don't see anything, but it's like naked lying down on this like fuzzy ass rug, and I'm just sitting there in the most like hand on my chin, kicking my legs like I'm a girl tweeting her friends like on her phone. Like, I don't know, it's just, I hate that picture of me so much. It's
the fact that you're naked and they put that up on the wall is kind of weird.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to turn off mouse scrolling. One sec, guys. There we go.
Yeah.
Anyways, Neeb, by the way, put that in the Twilight Council pretty quick. I was gonna say, I actually, for all things Neeb hype, I haven't seen much of him recently. I actually have no idea if he's playing the style that is like Zest, Dark Templar, make the Archons and all that good stuff, or if he's still doing things like that used to be very Neeb things to do, like Disruptors and otherwise. But it looks like he's playing pretty smooth and pretty much like most of the best Protoss are right now. Although not going for Stargates, so maybe not the best, but...
Oh my god, you cracker.
I still say, like, as much as anyone ever wants to hype up a game of carriers, I will never forget the Tempest game versus Snoot, which was like, what, Invader, right? And it had like 1 million cannons, 100 Tempest, Snoot maxing out on like 50 Ultras at a time. Like...
Anytime I think of, you know, what are the solutions against mass air? What have been the solutions against mass air? I think about that game and I'm like, well, I guess there's no solutions.
Yeah, for those who don't know the one we're referencing, if anyone's got a link to this, if anyone remembers the Snoot versus Neeb game that we're talking about, can link in the chat. You get super big brownie points. But we watched Snoot do this extreme thing where he had actually just played so greedy. He mined out so many minerals that he was able to throw away every queen and every drone to get a pure army max. Like literally 200 supply worth of only army units, and it was like all ultras and lings and you name it, and they couldn't scratch Neeb. So you're right, like every time I think of Protoss being OP, that is the game I think of immediately.
Yeah, it was kind of absurd, but there's even a lot to be said on that game. It was a long game, different things that have happened, but we finally have the builds being executed. Cham kind of, you know, of course knew what it was, but he does actually have an army unit. So Neeb takes the chance, even if there is a spore crawler, to take on a very small army.
I like that whole position on the drones, by the way. That was actually really good out of Cham. As we saw it minimize drone losses, they all got kind of stuck on shooting that, trying to reach the queen. So 3 drones dead for what could have been 5 or 7 if that had gone differently. Neeb now making those Archons, gonna bring this to the main. But Roaches waiting to intercept are gonna have a bad time fighting against units that are dropping and being picked up immediately. It is all about killing that Warp Prism. Cham knows this too, so I love that he's been focus firing this down this whole time.
Yeah. This is some nice control from Neeb. Not just control of the Warp Prism, but control of the game. Cham's doing a fine job defending. He even held off on his lair a little bit, figuring his spore crawlers would be enough. And they were. And is at a decent drone count. Not amazing. Is it queen?
People want me to tweet pictures of the naked baby picture. First off, no. Secondly... double no, not gonna happen.
I thought about doing a throwback Thursday to that picture that I was talking about, because on one hand I should just be proud of how far I've come, right? But on the other, I do not want that picture on the internet.
Right? Exactly.
So, maybe not.
Someone asked Mama looking for the picture. Good luck, guys. My mom can barely figure out Outlook. I don't think she's gonna have a Twitter anytime soon.
That looks terrible. I don't blame her, but also.
No, I agree, but she insists on using it, and so does my dad. And it's just like, guys, you know, it's 2017, right? I'm just saying, but.
Get the AOL like sound going on in the background. Yeah, maybe if you gave us a ton of money, we'd be able to do this.
This CD isn't working properly, and I'm like, well, why use CDs, Mom? Just download direct from the website. Come on.
I sometimes do wonder why I put a CD-ROM reader, but technically it sometimes is very helpful.
I didn't even buy a new one for my computer. There's literally no CD drive on my computer because I took the old one I had. I used it temporarily to install Windows and then didn't need it at all afterwards.
It's like the only reason, because even all the old games I had saved are digital now.
That was a good cancel out of Neeb. I wasn't actually entirely sure he was going to get that.
His Archons are at only health right now, or very close to it.
Yeah, shield's very low.
They still survived. That was very good use of Archons. Cham still has a decent drone count, and it's worth it being a little bit later sucked. It's not the end of the world. But Neeb has been fine in his side of the map this entire time, which is a little bit more worrying because he's at 70 probes and he's got all of his upgrades on the way.
By the way, there's another pretty hype match going on right now that unfortunately we're not casting. Sort of advanced to fight against Alive. Oh, that's such a sick round of 8 match. I think Sort of at this point is set to make the monthly finals because he won that first week. So for him at this point, it's just getting some prize money and maybe farming a couple extra points. But Sort of has basically, if you win a Corsair Cup, you've got more than enough points to just coast on for the rest of the month and get to the monthly finals.
Yeah. Well, still want to make some money, some moolah. Apparently we're not going to have an engagement anytime soon. At least not forced out by Cham. Neeb might feel comfortable moving out when Storm is done.
Well, maybe if his parents pressure him a little bit harder.
Move forward? What did I say?
Get an engagement.
Ah! Good. I think it's like 19, Jesus.
I mean, you don't know what type of family culture he's got, man. Maybe his mom really wants grandkids.
And 19 is the age to do it.
Yo, kids nowadays are pregnant at 15. I'm just saying. They even got TV shows about it. All right?
Teen moms are
Yo, medieval times? You'd be like an old spinster by 19.
Okay, so I don't like MTV because they don't have anything very good anymore, right? They sometimes do. But majority, not really. But I hate them even more now because I have to watch their crappy advertisements for the stuff that I do like watching during the commercial breaks. So, like, they recently got Friends, so I'll turn that on when I'm cooking. And they also have, Girl Code and Guy Code, which I actually really like. But I have to watch the stupid fucking commercials for all the reality shows in between, and it makes me so angry. Anyway. So, Cham is going to push the, engagement, but I think it's kind of like a fake. Shut up. It's kind of a fake because he's getting Hive, he's getting a Lurker down, his upgrades aren't quite finished. Like, I don't think he actually meant to start something there, but he's gonna try and find a good position. Well, I think his army's inferior to Neeb's. Yeah,
Neeb has not just charge lots as we see, obviously, but he's got several Storms. Storm did finish up, so how many Templar? There's like 6 Templar worth of Storms. I don't care if you're Roaches, Lynx, or Hydras, nobody wants to sit in 6 Storms.
Yeah. You know, Neeb does not have a War Prism.
That is a little bit worrisome.
A little weird.
Reinforcements.
Out like this.
Well, if he reinforces, I guess it is kind of far away. I'll take that back. Okay, the distance from the third base to this might not be so bad, but it is. However, tentative to take the actual fight is costing Cham health on these units. A couple of them getting picked off by those Storms, as we can see. Those Hydras about ready to pop the center of the army. It's just becoming a juicy, creamy center at this point.
Juicy, creamy center. Sure.
You know, if you think about it, Banelings are kind of like I look at every time I look at a Baneling explode, I'm like Gushers, fruit snacks.
Oh, that's actually a really good one. I would. Baneling shaped Gushers would be amazing. God.
Do you remember the super? Oh, he's actually going for air, by the way, while this goes on. Well, I actually like what Cham is doing in terms of lurkers for the ground. It's not a ground fight he's gonna have to worry about. Neeb's transitioning to air. But do you remember those old Gushers commercials where they'd eat one and their head would turn into like some super cringy, stupid looking fruit? I want that to happen with Banelings.
Your head into a Baneling?
Or something, you know, like you eat the Baneling and it's like your head blows up. But while this goes on, the lurker count is worth noting for about 100 different reasons in terms of what it can do versus the ground. And lurkers were a really good move out of Cham. However, they're not going to be such a good move against the air that follows it up. Charge lots over here, derping a little bit. If they're just kind of on a move, they clean up these links, no problem. There we go. There's that chase. But it is the fact that whatever Cham's doing behind this, whether it's defending this push or going for the Nidus Worm for a potential aggression, if Neeb pushes out Tempest and Carriers and anything, frankly even Void Rays, those Stargates are going to be so hard for him to deal with because he's not prepared for it.
Absolutely. I mean, Neeb's been playing this game, I think, faster than Cham has in terms of technology. So Cham only just recently got the lurkers. It was very dangerous for some time. Still at lurkers, there's a lot of immortals, so it's still not the better army. As long as Neeb takes a decent position. And now go on a Tempest before Cham can even get to Brood Lords.
Of course, these Archons and Immortals not going down anytime soon. The Immortals with their barriers just keep soaking those hits. A lot of Hydras went down through this, and the resources lost. I mean, astonishing low overall for where we are in the game, but just in general, so much worse for Cham. Now, as the Nidus comes into the main, yeah, units are already warped in. The Tempests are here. Again, this is like the first indication Cham's getting that Tempests are even in play, that Stargates were even made.
Yeah, and there's just not much you can do about it. You can try and start getting Vipers, but there's feedback. Ah,
looks like some of the Templar got caught in the middle of the map, but that is going to cost him his lurkers. The Immortals bust through this, no problemo. Oh no, Cham got way too overextended for that. I don't know what he was hoping to get out of that, but it wasn't worth losing everything he had for.
Well, you see all the High Templars down, it looks tempting, but those Immortals, even though they aren't especially good versus Hydras, they're still tanky. They had their barriers at the time. Now he's, well, if Neeb didn't have these High Templars, he would have been overextending. The High Templars saved the day. Saved the Immortals' day, anyways.
Yeah, not to mention the Tempest now joined into the fight. Retreating. This is so weird watching Neeb play this without a Warp Prism, by the way. At some point, I would have assumed one gets made. Maybe a proxy pylon for slow warp-ins, anything, but Neeb has been constantly pushing without the even option of warp-ins, and you're watching like a 2k bank thinking like, man, why doesn't he just throw down like 20 zealots? Good to go.
Yeah, it is a little weird. Even though it's not, as they get to these middle bases, it's really not that big of a map anymore. It's still better to usually have a Warp Prism.
Well, that being said, a Warp Prism not so necessary. Neeb just pushing through this.
What's he do? He is trying to get those Vipers I was talking about, but then the feedbacks hit them, and they're, even if they get one or two abducts, they're dead right after, and it's just not worthwhile.
I like this kind of pincer move Neeb had tried to set up there with those Zealots, by the way. Try to catch the Hydras from behind, but unfortunately, not going to work. GG's get called, and Neeb will take map number 1.
A little bit longer than I anticipated. It was kind of a passive defensive game for both of them. Just mild harassment.
Yeah. Actually, I think the passiveness, though, is what really played to Neeb's favor, right? Like, I think he got to storms before any real engagement came down.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have people arguing over cats and dogs on Twitter, of course. Here on my analyst says Smelly Danielle, favorite those little kitty cats. And Neeb making America great again. So far, that's true, but it's going to be Cham's map pick for map number 2. That was a pretty long game, guys, so we're just going to squeeze in a break while they wait to give us the maps. We'll see you soon for game number 2. All right, we're back. Game number 2. Also, big shouts and thank you to the people over on the StarCraft Twitter. They actually just tweeted, or retweeted, excuse me, at the Corsair Cup. Glad to see that happen. I will say, though, it's rather interesting to watch the inconsistency that is like the StarCraft Twitter hype. Because some days they'll retweet something and it'll be like, boom, 100 likes and like 40 retweets. And then sometimes they'll retweet something and it'll be like 5 retweets and 5 likes. So I don't... I guess it depends how many people are awake on a Monday, but thank you to the folks at StarCraft nonetheless. It is always appreciated to see that support. But game number 2 for the Corsair Cup, spawning in the bottom left. He's down a map at the moment. It's going to be the blue Zerg player, Cham.
In the top right is the red Protoss. He is Ting's Neeb.
Penguin saying that Neeb's planning to build a wall, making Cham pay for it all. Terrible.
Yeah. A couple jokes about... Well, there's jokes that were available to talk about nation wars when Mexico played, but...
Yo, I don't. Maybe you saw this one already or not, but did you see all the stuff people were tweeting about that march?
Oh, the inauguration march?
Like, I don't even know why, because it's not even February.
I saw your joke about it, and someone responded like a clapping.
I felt so proud, because it's like, when you make like a really clever original joke, you're like, yeah, I didn't have to copy paste that.
Yeah.
It's crazy though. The like, I don't want to get into politics, chat guys, but it's just like an objective statement that it was amazing watching so many people, so many women, and of course men too, just get together. Like, that level of support's insane. What was the estimate amount? Like 2.5 million or something?
I don't remember. And then there are people who were like trying to discuss if it was the biggest protest in history, and there were some conflicting reports. But I just know a lot of people that I knew went. Like, I guess I've been talking about it for a long time because I live right near DC, right? So it's kind of a hot issue, and I didn't really anticipate the outcome, but I know a lot of my friends went, and I would have gone, but my protest is in the form of going to France.
Yeah, you left the country, dude. You did what those celebrities promised to do but never followed up on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I do want to actually mention something really quick too. I usually hate popularity contests, but you know what? This guy has given us well over several $100s in the last month, so I think the least I could do is help him out with his one request. He was asking if I could retweet something because somebody he knows is trying to win some contest. I guess they need 1,000 votes or something. So I'm gonna put the link on stream. If you guys could do us a favor, visit the tweets, check the link out. If you feel like voting, that'd be even more awesome as well. But Prognosticator, anything this guy wants is a good cause in my books.
This is how it starts.
That's how it starts. It's
He's
selling
asking
out.
you for a lot of different things.
Could you vote for my penis? You have to do it in the form of blowing it though. One blow equals one prayer, something like that. It's like that was a super bad joke. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Funny thing about my back is that it's on my dick.
I've heard that, yeah. Click the classy ones that you hear in bars, you know, you just can't help but fall for. Oh, I have to thank you again. I was doing the actually, I think I've had more fun so far doing the fish story. Shoulder.
Oh, I got one that
thing.
was this big.
Yeah, as opposed to the counting shoulders thing. But I did that on quite a few people.
Everyone's figured out the counting shoulders one. Like, it's just the fish one's
Not
great
in
because
Europe,
it's still like
man.
underground.
You gotta go to the country, different country entirely, different continent, and no one knows. Anyway, thank you to Lilin Sui for the 8-month resub. And it is going to be, once again, the Dark Shrine build, which Cham didn't really have too many difficulties defending against, but he did take some damage from it.
He did, but it was so minimal. Like, well, at least the Dark Templar part of it. The Archons actually got some nice kills, but it was the good hold position on the drones, the fact that nothing really got in there. Normally, when we see people like Zest and others execute that perfectly, it is actually like 7 or 8 drone kills on top of like all of whatever little army there is. But Cham's already got roaches at this time. So as well defended as it was in game 1, it should really be no problem here for game 2.
Well, the DTs run in. We do love seeing Protosses who stay with the DTs even if they're completely scouted. There's always that chance. Like, one roach actually does not kill them fast enough and can be killed itself. So
yeah, but several roaches, not a problem. So he backs away to safety, and he's going to make the Archons near the Watchtower. Cham takes this opportunity to build a bunch of drones. I think this is that only lull that he's going to have to do so.
Very quickly up to almost 60. Archons going to the main base. Last time they were able to deny a 4th, but not looking for that yet. Neeb is getting a 3rd, though, behind it, and this was, you know, whatever damage the Archons were doing was not super important. As much as it is just keeping control over the game, so the Protoss themselves can get to, well, whatever they want to do, actually, because it's not just expansions that can follow a DT build, it's actually a couple of all-ins you can do, there's the fake 3rd that you can get, there's the super greedy 3rd, like, that's why people like it so much. It's not just about the DTs and the Archons, it is a real opener that can just lead into different things. In Neeb's case, it is mostly macro.
Well, for macro's sake on Overgrowth, I don't know if this is a map you're necessarily going to go so comfortably to air with like we saw before. Newkirk, Echo, like these are some of the maps that you can kind of get away with it more easily, but I do want to point out for Neeb, what I loved about that first game, just thinking about taking the tactics and applying it here, was it wasn't the turtling around that map that let him get to air at all. It was just getting Templar, Storms, getting the Immortals, like he was ready to take fights, and because he took so many good fights, his advantage was getting the Stargates and just kind of flying away with it from there.
Well, talking about Stargates, we actually have a Spire on the way for Cham. So playing very different from the last game. From most games, the Spire only comes out in ZvPs, I would say, every 2 dozen, 3 dozen games, it feels. Whereas once upon a time, it was always there for the 8 mutas. Occasionally, we even saw mass mutas be an option, but it still was not as popular as just, either Roach Baneling or Roach Hydra Baneling. Something that Neeb is not gonna anticipate by default.
But that's where this game gets really interesting, because whether it's Terran, Zerg, Protoss, like every matchup, there are certain counters to things. Like you look at a massive wall of adepts and it looks really OP against Lings. You throw some Banelings in the mix, and suddenly the Zerg is the one that's OP. Unfortunately, though, that complication becomes so hard to deal with when there's a lot more things in play, specifically spellcasters, right? So while we got Mutas in the sky and maybe Banelings on the ground, there's still going to be things like Guardian Shields, Force Fields, Archons. Like, this is not going to be so easy for either player to run away with. But I like the idea of the Mutas, because if we consider what happened last game, and then again, I'm not saying this is the same direction Neeb's heading, but it was a lot of very immobile forces. This time around, the Mutas, just gonna, if it's the same deal, they can actually outdance or outrun around the army. I mean, consider Archons, Immortals, Sentries, they're all slow. They're not going to be responding to the Mutas very easily.
But Neeb did, eventually scouted it, and he was going into Blink Stalker, so that's like much better than automatically going into Charge or Resonating Glaives. Because Blink will help with these small amount of Mutas initially, and then they'll hopefully snowball along with the Mutas. I
love that this is a good distraction, though, because while Neeb looks to the right, Cham goes left. And he goes left hard with a lot of Lings getting through this base. Warpin's on the way. It's going to be Stalkers, though, not Adepts. Nothing really great to deal with this. He recalls. That looked really awkward because he wanted to desperately throw down some overcharges, but now the army takes back and the Mutas go right back to the main. Stalkers were left behind, however, so this is not exactly getting out of hand, but this was a really great tactic. A look over here while I hit over there move out of Cham.
It was, but it wasn't the most effective. Neeb is still holding on. This army's still good enough, I think, with the Archons here as well. Blink backs, and he should be able to take it on.
Well, the Lings are doing really well.
The right side.
I mean, the thing is, he's trading at Archons for Mutas, like Immortals going down too. Just generally speaking, Neeb comes out of this fight much better. But Cham was trading out what I thought was good initially. All those Lings going down for just the gas units you could pull the Mutas back, but unfortunately didn't and lost so much for that. In fact, units lost tab right now looks pretty disgusting.
Yeah, if he could rebuild his army, actually use this bank, maybe it isn't so bad. But the Warpins, if he had gotten the Warp Prism as well, this would not be nearly as strong as a counter, but it's like 2 additional Warpins coming through here, and that is going to be too much for Cham to deal with.
Yeah, drones getting pulled, it's never a good sign. Good fights out of Cham, but ultimately Neeb will be the badass who takes the series and moves on to fight against Fear in a PvP on the European server. That being said, though, Nurchio waiting for an opponent, Beastie waiting for an opponent. We may just follow Neeb to the PvP because Neeb's PvPs have been fun to watch, but we may also grab one of these other matches. We'll see who's available and what's going on, but we are going to go to a commercial break while we swap over, so stick with us, folks. Don't go anywhere. Oh god, it's so bright outside. Look at these lights. It's like laser beams slicing me in half. The fucking reflections from the cars outside. We'll see you guys in a sec.